higher than in private competitors. Then market access condition for LDC needs to be improved, needs to be made more predictable, needs to be made sustainable and commercially meaningful. In this context, decision of the WTO Ministerial Conference in Hong Kong on duty-free, quota-free market access for products originating from LDC should be implemented as soon as possible. But here, this duty-free, quota-free market access may not be translated into realization of exports if non-tariff barrier exists. Therefore, such market access, preferential market access, should be complemented by pragmatic, user-friendly, transparent, simplified, and easily administered rules of policy. And also we need to address non-tariff barriers at the horizontal level rather than sector-specific or product-specific level. I also want to raise issues for the LDC who are not a member of WTO. For acceding LDCs, which numbers maybe around 12. And for Nepal, the accession negotiation and process was not so pleasant. Therefore, this accession process for acceding LDC should be expedited, and procedures and requirements should be simplified with the provisions of financial and technical assistance, not only in the accession process, but also in developing institutions to assume WTO obligations. And the much more important thing is acceding LDCs should not be forced to assume WTO plus and WTO minus commitments and obligations. And their commitment should not go beyond what current developing country members of WTO have taken. And here I would also like to raise the issues on services. Well, we have GSP. And similar provisions of GSP, General System of Preference on services, would also be considered. And there might be some legal problems within the WTO agreements. And in order to address those legal issues, such GSP should be granted waiver in the WTO immediately. And GSP should cover sectors and modes of supply which are of the interest of these developed countries. And our former president of Zambia raised the issues of transport costs for LDC and the problems of family transit. Therefore, similarly, under freedom of transit, that's Article 5 of GATT, should be extended to include transit in service, not only transiting goods, but also transiting services. And all mode of transport, including pipeline services or transmission line, and maybe the issues of fiber optics should be covered by that freedom of transit. And another issue is WTO may also help LDC in building their productive capacity. And for this building productive capacity, the recognition of the importance of development-oriented trade rather than trade-oriented approach to development is the must. And in this context, Aid for Trade initiative will go a long way and should address the issue of core competitiveness of these developed countries. And it should focus, as recognized by the WTO task force, on building supply capacity, on elevating trade system cost as a result of trade reforms, and also trade policy development. And it should be additional, predictable, sustainable, and effective. In addition, AFT must observe the principle of Paris Declaration as well as Accra Agenda for Action. Here, I just want to highlight only two of the issues that have got a little attention in Aid for Trade discussion. The first is with regard to the direct support for private sector development, such as infrastructure preparation and infrastructure software, programs directly addressing the competitiveness of production process and quality of exports or exportables, and programs that directly support the marketing of the specific exportable products. And here the cost of preference erosion is directly burnt by the private sector, but aid in forms of aid for trade comes to the government. So in this context, direct support to private sector through AFT is crucial. And the second issue is support for activities which have cross-border externalities, such as regional projects, including transport and trade facilitation infrastructure, and which would reduce the cost for landlocked least developed countries. And for all this, I don't think LDC need to wait for the conclusion of the war round. The issues of concern to LDCs should be addressed on priority basis, and we should have an early harvest. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments, Dr. Patti. Again, there are several issues there that I hope that we can take back in the discussion and in the following sessions. Let me now move to our next speaker, if we may, and that will be Dr. Lunogello, the Director of the Economic and Social Research Foundation.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I think here. I don't know, we have some difficulties. I come from Dar es Salaam, Tanzania, which is part, Tanzania is a member of both the SADC and the East African Community. So it's my pleasure to have my ministers, two ministers, one minister and the former minister from Zambia, and the minister from Lesotho. In picking from where my colleagues have left, as you can understand, these issues crisscross a lot. I thought, as like I anticipated, that maybe I look at what do LDCs expect most from WTO's Doha negotiated outcomes, and what are the possible early harvests in favor of LDC. This has been the favorable theme during the last LDC trade ministers, which was held in Dar es Salaam. And since I come from Dar es Salaam, I thought that should be my favorite area to pick and expand a bit. And basically, I would also like to talk on why do you think aid for trade is critical, especially in trying to make sure that we realize the benefits from the Doha round outcomes, and of course, making sure that we get the early harvest as the ministers had said in Dar es Salaam. Reading through different views on what is needed to unlock the stalemate on Doha round, it is obvious that the most wanted commodity from developed countries is one thing: the political will to act on proposals from LDCs. Posh just recalled that there are some issues which were agreed a long time ago, as far as 2005, but so far nothing has been done. So if you read through different literature, most recent by Atul Kaushik, when he was doing his analysis on the emerging role of LDCs in WTO decision making, despite the fact that 48 out of 158 countries involved in the WTO negotiations are from LDC, we note one thing that is like we are being consistently ignored. Consequently, as we all know, the Doha round has been the longest, with conclusions not near. The way I see it is that the fact that most of the LDCs now have been trying to inspect themselves, to see what our relationship between the developing country economies and ourselves, and between ourselves. Maybe the negotiations are likely to become even more difficult over time. As I've said, in Dar es Salaam, I think the issue was how can we fast track, or how can we convince our development partners, our developed economies, to implement the 2005 recommendations. And the Dar es Salaam meeting actually set 2010 as a deadline. Basically trying to look at, Porsche already said it, waiver on preferential and more favorable treatment to services and service suppliers of LDCs. Actually, they use of, not from.